Becoming a Whirlwind Plus member at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass could be your ticket to winning, and you don't even have to do anything to earn the prize. Meaning it's not a golf tournament or a putting contest. You just have to be a member. Titleist golf bags, Cardinals ticket, a 2-night stay at Wild Horse Pass Resort and Casino, plus credit to the Prime Steakhouse, and even 10 passes to the LPGA Ford Championship. How do you win? Go to whirlwindgolf.com, click on Whirlwind Plus, and feel the win.
Thanks for listening, Unplugged Army. I'm Louis Unga, General Manager at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. We're proud to present Doug Franz Unplugged.
Forming offense. Forming offense.
4 minutes.
Forming offense. Forming offense.
Everything you need to know in sports that affects Maricopa County, the state of Arizona, and the world, you get in 4 minutes. We start things off in Queens, New York, and Cincinnati, Ohio, and Chavez Ravine, Los Angeles, California. Diamondbacks drop half a game to the New York Mets because New York won and the Diamondbacks were idle. Mets over San Diego 6-1. Pete Alonso hit his 37th homer. Reds beat the Cubs 1-0. Complete game shutout, one hitter by Hunter Green. Giants lose 2-1 in LA despite Logan Webb giving up only one earned run in 7 innings pitched, and yet he gets stuck as the losing pitcher. Now your standings. Mets got a 2-game lead over the Diamondbacks and the Reds, 3-game lead over the Giants. Tonight, Mets are home against Washington, Cincinnati at home against the Cubs. Giants resume the 4-game series at LA. Diamondbacks are home against the Phillies. Taijuan Walker, former Diamondback, is 5-8 on the year with a 4.17 ERA and a 1.39 whip. He'll go up against Ryan Nelson, 7-3, 3.34 ERA, and the new ace of the staff has only a 1.06 whip. Nelson will throw the first pitch tonight, downtown, 6:40. Before first pitch, the Mercury are downtown. They take on the New York Liberty. Winner take all, game 3 in a best-of-3 series. Tip-off downtown tonight, 6 o'clock. A little bit of a shocking announcement comes from ASU. Since Kansas is going to have their stadium going under some more renovation at the beginning of next football season, they are proposing to move the KU-ASU game to London, England. Both sides totally agree to do it, but Kansas has to move their Middle Tennessee State game to week 0. In order to do that, they've got to appeal to the NCAA. Most people say that will go through, and that puts the Sun Devils in Britain. But that's for 2026. Coming up tomorrow, they're in Texas. Sun Devils and Baylor. The race for the conference championship begins. Sun Devil quarterback Sam Levitt, any extra motivation to take on Baylor?
Yeah, my dad went to grad school there. Parents lived there for a little bit. Brother was born there, so I've never been there. It's going to be cool to go back and see the place I grew up.
First conference game for both teams. Kickoff tomorrow in Waco, 4:30. Huge fulcrum game for the Rising at home tomorrow night. Currently, Phoenix is tied for 7th. There are 8 playoff spots. There's only 6 games left. If they win, they could jump all the way from 7th place to 3rd place in the tightly packed Western Conference. They're up against Loudoun County, who comes from Virginia in the D.C. area. They're good, and they're in 3rd place in the Eastern Conference. Kickoff tomorrow night at 44th Street, 7 o'clock. Cardinals are 2-0. 49ers are 2-0. Somebody won't be in first place anymore after the game. Buda Baker, what do you think of when you think 49ers?
Of course, it starts with the run game. Christian McCaffrey, he's their guy. They get the ball a lot, run game, pass game. So it all starts with, of course, stopping the run.
Kickoff Sunday afternoon in Santa Clara is at 1:25. Last night on Thursday Night Football, Bills a winner, 31-21. In a pretty close game, Josh Allen only threw 6 incompletions and had 3 touchdown passes. Also last night in the WNBA playoffs, they had incredible games. Indiana knocked Atlanta out of the playoffs with an 87-85 win, and Las Vegas knocked Seattle out at home with a 74-73 win. PGA Tour is off this weekend. The LPGA is in Arkansas for the Walmart Northwest Arkansas Championship, presented by P&G. And finally, meet Jessica Procato from Downey, California. She's driving down the highway, hears a loud bang, and then suddenly her butt is just on fire. What happened? A metal rod had fallen off a truck in front of her, began bouncing on the road. She tried to avoid it and couldn't, heard a loud bang, and then couldn't figure out why her butt hurt so bad. She said, quote, I felt really weak. My blood pressure dropped. I started sweating profusely. I felt unbelievably cold. I was so confused as to where this injury was coming from. When paramedics arrived, they couldn't figure out what was going on either. She said, please look behind me. I think I'm stuck to the seat. That's when the paramedics looked and discovered the rod had come up through the bottom of her Ford Fusion, through her seat, and impaled her left butt cheek. She said, I'm a nurse. As soon as I found out what it was, I knew I shouldn't get up and try to remove the object. And yet that's exactly what I did. Miraculously, she's gonna be okay, she thinks. She was rushed to trauma center, had everything taken care of, and now she's home recovering. However, she says, I'm really struggling to walk. I will definitely need to go through physical therapy. Okay, I'll admit to you, that just scares the living crap out of me. Please be careful whenever you approach one of those trucks that's got an open flatbed in the back and you know they're headed somewhere to do construction or landscaping and something could come flying out of that thing. Get in a different lane. And if you drive one of those things, please take an extra minute to make sure everything is secure. It went through the bottom of the car and then through the seat.
Bell's isn't your typical country bar with mediocre bar food. We are a scratch kitchen with chef-inspired dishes in the only place you can get the best sandwich in all of Arizona, our Nashville hot chicken sandwich. Come in for Whiskey Wednesdays to learn about and drink our famous whiskey selection. We have live music most days and all weekend as part of our honky tonk brunch.
Bell's Nashville Kitchen on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale.
You found home, down home.
You have driven the American economy to a successful week, and the world owes you. It's Beer Friday. A Mountain Amber Ale. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Beer Friday is presented by 100 Mile Brewing Company, who are officially sponsoring my taste buds. Some days it's kind of like a casual Beer Friday. And other days, I'm serious about driving the American economy to a successful week. And we need to come together, get ready for a football celebration, and yell, hooray, beer. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever it is that you've decided to make Doug Franz Unplugged a part of your day, my family greatly appreciates it. My name is Doug Franz, and my name is Doug Franz, and you have found the only podcast in the world totally devoted to the coverage of the four major sports franchises of one great American city that drops on your phone each and every weekday morning. We also cover ASU, U of A, GCU, the Rattlers, the Rising, and the Merc. I made it, General Tom. This is Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. How are you? I was thinking about throwing in there something about this is the Tailgate show, and as I was thinking Tailgate show, I said, my name is Doug Franz. I'm thinking about the wait, my name is Doug Franz, and you have found then I saved it. Thank you very much. Hopefully everything's going great in your world. I'm kind of excited about today, but I have zero idea what's actually going on. I vaguely remember being with Angel at Burrito Express, and General Stavo and General Mike were there when I was there, and I just got to talking to him and then looked at my calendar and thought the next time I should have a moment in life to visit with some fellow generals would be Friday, September 19th. Where did February come from? Friday, September 19th. So I said, hey, let's play golf. So the three of us agreed we would try to play golf. So that's that. Then Jennifer sends me a calendar invite, and I don't know if I was involved in this or not, but her and the lovely Miss Katie
have been, Fun Katie, the new Fun Katie, have been trying to organize the two couples going out for dinner. Fun, if you're kind of newer to the show, Fun Katie used to run the Town Hall Tuesday. Did a great job at it. She would record it into her phone because that's what I asked for, but she had some family health issues and said, hey, can I pull back a little bit? We said, absolutely. And that's when Jennifer filled in and started doing it live to tape. Well, we miss Katie. I mean, she's such a fun person. So I guess Jennifer started reaching out to her to check in on her. And it morphed its way into the four of us going out. Now, if you don't know Fun Katie, she is married to Mikey. And Mikey's the owner of the original sponsor of Doug Franz Unplugged, which is Bell's Nashville Kitchen. So I remember Jennifer telling me about this, I don't know when it was, 3 weeks ago or something. And I said, yeah, I can do that, but I know I'm golfing with someone and I don't remember who, because it just says on my calendar, golf. That's all it said. I don't know why I wrote that. I knew I should have known I'd need a bigger description. So then a reminder popped on my phone at like 11:30 last night that said contact Stavo and General Stavo and General Mike. It just said Stavo and Mike. Well, then I started thinking, well, wait a minute. Jennifer said I was golfing with Mikey, but I don't remember setting anything up with Mikey because then I remembered it was set up at Burrito Express. So I emailed all three of them. I prefer emailed than texting. And I know you're going to go, oh my gosh, you're so old. No, it's because no one knows when I'm asleep and I don't know when you're asleep. So I don't like people texting me unless I really know them very well and they totally understand my sleep cycle and the rules. The rules of texting me are, if you think I might be asleep, don't text. And number two, never text something about the Bobcats. Because I don't want to know. I'm watching the game whenever I get to watch the game, so don't ruin it for me. Except when we play Gardner Webb, which is what we're doing today, or tomorrow. So it's a little different when we're playing Gardner Webb, but I don't want to know. I want to enjoy it. I don't get to enjoy sports per se because it's work. My Bobcats aren't work. No one cares. We're harmless. So therefore, don't tell me so I can enjoy being a sports fan again and cheering on my Bobcats. So right now, Stavo is unavailable for golf today. General Mike is available. We're golfing at the Wigwam at 11:30. If you're confused, yes, this is Whirlwind. This is Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. But I told Sweet Lou at the beginning, do I have to stop golfing at the Wigwam? I mean, it's right next to the... No. He's so good. He goes, you can even have other golf courses advertised. I don't care. Like that's like reason number 8 million on why you want to be Whirlwind Plus. I mean, he's such a supporter of the Unplugged Army. Speaking of Whirlwind, Brandon's coming on today. And Brandon's in charge of instruction there at Whirlwind Golf, but he's an international golf expert. So the Ryder Cup is coming up in a week and a half. And I think, actually a week from today. I think Ryder Cup is really cool. But it's very easy to not understand it. So today we're having Brandon on just to explain Ryder Cup. And then next week to actually look at the matchups and study what's about to happen and give us some Bethpage info. So that's coming up next week. But today is just explaining Ryder Cup. That way, this is a tailgate show. It's designed for you to listen all weekend long. If you don't finish it because it's so long, that's fine. Listen to some of it tomorrow and then listen to some of the pro stuff coming up on Sunday. But at the end, you'll have a little bit of Ryder Cup info. So when you get to work and people might actually bring up, what is this Ryder Cup? You can explain it in case that you don't really know. That's what's going on in my world. So golf today at 11:30 at Wigwam with General Mike. I got 2 spots open and an invitation to Mikey. I have no idea if he's coming. And if you want to golf with us, Just show up there around, maybe it's not 11, I think it's noon. Show up there around noon. That's great. There you go. But just don't be mad if I bail, right after the 18th hole or only get one beer. Or maybe I'll just maybe I'll just shower there at the Wigwam. I don't know. Kind of rambling right now, if that's all right with you. Story time, even though that was just a story. In case you're confused, I wrote on my notes, I wanted to explain the 4-minute order, and I don't know why. I don't know if you care. That's kind of dumb now that I look at it. Well, anyway, if you care, why I thought I'll do it, even though I don't know why I wrote it. I do 4-minute offense in which the order is everything that happened last night that's local. And then everything that's going to happen tonight, Monday through Thursday, or over the weekend on Friday, that's local. So it's upcoming and local. Then I go by, is there national news I think you should know that happened last night or now previewing? And then there's and finally. That was kind of boring. I don't know why I did that. I mean, told you that. I guess you might care. I forgot to tell you this story yesterday. At least I think I do. This is kind of weird when I get into these moods and I don't remember if I told you what I planned on telling you. I was laughing reasonably hard Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. I'm in the clubhouse and Brandon Fott just pitched one of the best pitching performances in the last 50 years. Okay. I mean, it's not better than a perfect game or a no-hitter. But once you remove those, a 9-inning game, no runs, 1 hit. Granted, Hunter Green did the same thing yesterday, but he actually won the game for the Reds. But Brandon fought without any run support, nothing, all game long, and he still stays locked in, gives up only 1 hit. So he talks to the media, great. Ryan Thompson and Pavin Smith are sitting in the clubhouse, just talking, relaxing, sometimes not talking, just pretty laid back dudes. And I hear Brandon Fott, when he's done talking to us, he messes around in his locker for a little bit. And then he starts to walk out. And as he walks out, he's got to pass right by Ryan and Pavin because their lockers are on the same wall. If I don't know if I can describe this to you well, but if you care, when you walk into the Diamondbacks clubhouse, like the little foyer is very tight. You walk in and 2 people can barely walk through. I mean, I was walking into the clubhouse, not quite paying attention. I about plowed into Jake McCarthy, who was leaving. But you walk in and then you make a hard right. And then boom, this enormous rectangular room opens up. And then as you immediately turn right, now the wall on your right has, I'm going to totally ballpark this, having zero idea if I'm right, but I'll say it has about 12 lockers on the right wall. And so there's Ryan Thompson and Pavin Smith sitting in their lockers along that wall, go about four more lockers down, and then there's Brandon Fott's locker. So the media is all gathered around Brandon Fott. We're talking to him. Bam, presser or little meeting is over. We're done. Then Brandon does something in his locker, starts to walk away. So now he's headed towards that door where now going out, you make the hard left to get out. And as he walks by Ryan Thompson, Ryan goes, "Hey," and he says something. And I couldn't make it out what he said, but Brandon said, I forgot. I'll look at it. They start talking a little bit. And I realize, I think they're talking fantasy football. And so I didn't want to bug Ryan in case he was in a deep conversation. So I went over to the media relations director. His name's Casey. Great dude, by the way. And I said, "Hey, Case, do you know if Ryan Thompson and Fott are in the same league?" And he goes, "I don't know." I said, "Okay." And I walked over to Ryan Thompson because now I want to know. I said, "Hey, Ryan, do you have a second for an oddball question?" "Yeah, sure." Ryan Thompson's a very intelligent dude, by the way. And I said, "On Brandon's way out, were you talking about a fantasy football trade?" And he goes, Yeah, yeah. And Pavin Smith, who's sitting right next to him, wasn't paying attention and said, what was it? And they started going back and forth talking about the trade. And I said, well, I just wanted to know because, it's just funny. I mean, I know you guys are normal humans sitting in the office just like any of the rest of us. But this guy just threw one of the best games in the last 50 years. And here you are. Hey, did you get my trade? Can we get this over with? And you're fired up. You want to get this trade done. And he goes, dude, I need a running back. And Ryan's like fired up. Yeah, I need somebody. Brandon's so what? He's throwing 9 innings like that's getting in the way of my team. It was hilarious to me. I don't know if anybody else finds that stuff funny because we all know they're human, but to have it smack you in the face that they're in a football argument where one guy doesn't understand how have you not looked at my trade, which is basically Guru Brad to me. Guru Brad, every hour on the hour, sends me trades. I'm like, dude, I don't even know how's my team chemistry yet. I haven't had a good talk with the guys after week 2. I don't know how we're feeling. I'm not ready to just cut somebody and get rid of them. And he's like gung-ho on trades every second. I'm kind of intimidated to trade. Shows you that I'm early in my life of fantasy football that I am scared to trade. I want to see my team grow together. How are they going to grow together if I'm dumping guys, left and right? Okay. I'm done with story time. Today we've got 2 conversations. Guru Brad to help your fantasy team coming up. And quick, just 9 minutes with Whirlwind Brandon to go over how Ryder Cup works, because I'm totally into Ryder Cup next week. So I'll be talking about that. We've got breakdown. And then I told you, once we get into week 3 of the NFL, week 4 of the college football season, now most of the non-conference is over in college football. And the stats in the NFL, they're still a little raw, only 2 weeks in, but you get a better handle on things. So I do a little bit of a deeper dive into the matchups, and we'll get into that as well coming up. But if you're set, I'm ready. Time for Doug's Big One. It's my number 1 opinion of the day. Let's roll.
Doug.
Where's Doug? Here, sorry, Doug. Where you at?
Yeah, was that a plug to unplug right there? That was smooth.
Well, I can only answer the questions that get asked of me, Doug.
Obviously, Franz is such a good player.
Doug's Big One.
Got to get some production done, some kind of new open. But on Fridays, I'm going to have a new beautiful part of the podcast, which will be the most important human being in the world. Who is the most important human being in the world? But between you and I'm never going to tell you this again. It's just in the Phoenix/Arizona sports world. So obviously, the most important people are people that keep us out of wars and our military. And then, of course, personally, since I'm religious, God, Jesus, my wife, my kids, stuff like, okay, we know that. But I mean, out of all the things that don't matter, who's the most important person in the world? I'm going to do that separately from Doug's Big One. But today, on my first Friday that I thought of this, I'm doing it for Doug's Big One. My opinion is the most important person in the future of the world for this weekend is Eduardo Rodriguez. He is number 1 on my list of the most important people in the history or the future of the world. Now, here's why I say that. If you didn't pay attention or I went through it too fast in the 4-minute offense, the Diamondbacks are now 2 games out. Mets were a winner yesterday, 6-1. Reds won as well, 1-0. That was the game I just mentioned. Hunter Green, complete game, 1 hitter, 9-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Logan Webb for the Giants pitched almost as well as Hunter Green. He went 7 innings, but he gave up an earned run. Giants also gave up an unearned run. Dodgers win 2-1. So Logan Webb gives up one earned run in 7 innings, and he's the losing pitcher. So now your standings are Diamondbacks and Reds tied 2 games back. Giants are 3 games back. Well, the Diamondbacks do not have the tiebreaker with the Reds, and they can't get it. Cincinnati went 5-1 against Arizona. So we don't want to be tied with them. With the Mets, we have the floating tiebreaker. The tiebreaker that is the second tie. The first tiebreaker is head-to-head matchup. Mets and Diamondbacks went 3-3 against each other. Second tiebreaker is the record in your division, which previously I told you on a Doug's Big One, I just think is stupid. Why is we comparing our divisional record to the Mets divisional record? That's dumb. I mean, if your divisional record is better than, like, let's say our divisional record is better than the Mets, wouldn't that mean that the Mets were in a harder division? We both ended with the same number of wins, but their division was harder. That's what it should mean. It doesn't when you combine the record of every team in the West versus every team in the East. That should be what it was. It should be, what is the record of your division against the other 2 divisions? That would show who played in the harder division, and therefore that would mean you had a harder schedule. You get to go. Gosh, that's so much. I'm not, okay, I'm going to be an arrogant jerk for a minute. Why am I not on one of these boards? How do these ideas just go up in smoke? I just throw it out on the podcast. How does nobody have Rob Manfred's cell number to say, hey, Doug's better at this than you are? I'm sure that'll go a long way in getting me in the good graces of New York. But like, I just thought of that. Man, that makes a lot more sense. But anyway, so right now the Diamondbacks in the Western Division are 25-21. The Mets are 23-23. So the Diamondbacks have a 2-game lead in the second tiebreaker. And we have to go to the second tiebreaker because the first tiebreaker won't change. Both teams are 3-3 against each other. I don't see a scenario where we'll go to the third tiebreaker. The third tiebreaker the Mets have by 3 games, which is your record against the rest of the National League, not in your division. Well, in order for the Diamondbacks to end up in a tie with the Mets, they have to gain 2 games in the standings. So there's 9 games remaining. If the Diamondbacks actually move up and pick up those 2 games in the standings, I don't see a scenario where that doesn't include more wins in the division, because they still have 6 games remaining in the division. So if you're going to pick up 2 games, you're going to pick up more wins in the division. There's no way the Diamondbacks pick up 2 games in the division while the Mets pick up 2 games and improve their record in their division at the same time. That can't happen. Gosh, that made perfect sense to me. And it made me feel like there's no way you understood that I didn't do a good enough job. And I don't think I can get better, so I'm going to give up. So anyway, no matter what happens, I'm going to put it at a 98% chance Diamondbacks have the tiebreaker over the Mets. The key is you've got to tie the Mets in order to use the tiebreaker. So in this last stretch of 9 games now that we have, if the Mets go 5-4, the Diamondbacks have to go 7-2. And it's a much tougher road for the Diamondbacks. Mets have 3 games against Washington off Monday, 3 games at Wrigley, 3 games at Miami. So with 6 of those games against Washington and Miami, that's going to be tough, I would think, to catch the Mets. You got to pick up 2 games when they've got 6 games against those 2 opponents. Diamondbacks, 3 against Philly starting tonight, 3 against the Dodgers starting Tuesday, and then 3 at San Diego. Going to be tough still, going to be tough. I've been telling you that for a while. Now back to Doug's big one for a second. The reason why I said I think the most important person in the world is Eduardo Rodriguez. These 3 games against the Phillies, even though the Phillies are overall a better team, how about these pitching matchups? Tonight it's Ryan Nelson versus Taijuan Walker. Nelson's 7-3, Walker's 5-8, but admittedly wins aren't that great of a stat. ERA, 3.34 Ryan Nelson, 4.17 Taijuan Walker. WHIP, that's walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. Basically a judge of how many base runners you allow per inning. Anything below 1.15 is good. Anything above 1.2 is poor. Anything above 1.3 is bad. Ryan Nelson, 1.06 below 1.15. Taijuan Walker, 1.39, which is above 1.2. It's bad. It's worse than 1.3. So let's just say advantage DBacks for tonight. Tomorrow, Zach Gallen against Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is a big-time pitcher who has not pitched big-time this year. 4-9, 6.44 ERA, and a 1.43 WHIP. Now, your obvious response is, Doug, Zach hasn't been very good. Good article in yesterday's Arizona Republic. Nick Pecoro did a breakdown of Zach Gallen post-trade deadline. Dramatically different. I knew he was pitching better. I didn't know it was this good. He has a streak since the trade deadline, he averages 6 innings a game, and he's got a 2.68 ERA. That's phenomenally better than what he's been doing. So matchup versus matchup, the Diamondbacks have it Friday and Saturday. Doesn't mean a thing, obviously. Do your job. But Friday and Saturday look like advantage Diamondbacks. Now here's Sunday. Eduardo Rodriguez against Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez is 12-6, 18th most wins in the league. 2.84 ERA. That is amazing. 1.17 WHIP. I said anything below 1.15 is good. 1.17 is close enough. That's Ranger Suarez. Eduardo Rodriguez is nowhere near those numbers. 8-8 with a 5.12 ERA, a 1.30 and a 1.56 WHIP, which is awful. Just absolutely awful. However, so far in the month of September, Eduardo Rodriguez is giving up 2 runs a game. Sadly, his last game he gave up 5, so let's not get too excited here. But his ERA is only a 3.12 for the month. Pretty darn good. Not great, but pretty good. Now, if you didn't know, on the season, he's been pretty crappy. March and April, he had over a 5.5 ERA. In May, he was at 9.75. He dominated June with a 1.98 ERA, but only once did he pitch more than 6 innings. Did he get an out in the 7th inning? So let's not get too giddy. And then August, it felt like he went back to normal, went with a 7.40 ERA. That was terrible. August, 4.73. I think I said August before. July was 7.40. August was 4.73. Now he's back down to a 3.12 this month. That's pretty good. He's pitching better, but he's going up against the hardest one of the group for the Philadelphia Phillies. So if the Diamondbacks want to win or want to get into the playoffs, they've got to win 2 out of 3 against Philadelphia. I don't see them losing 2 out of 3 and then rebounding against the Dodgers and Padres to catch the Mets. You want in, you got to win 2 out of 3. But if you get Nelson and Gallen to pitch well and win, oh my gosh, if Erod can do it, there's the sweep. And now the pressure is really on the Mets. Let's go here. So therefore, Doug's big one today. Eduardo Rodriguez is the most important human being in the world. Friends and family rate, if you email me, Doug@DougFranzUnplugged.com, for anything you want over at Santan Ford. And oh, by the way, what they've got going on right now for this month is incredible savings. Plus, EV tax credits end on September 30th. You have great opportunities over the course of the next 11 days to get exactly what you're looking for from an electric vehicle as well. And the September specials, you've got 11 days left, in which you've got $319 a month, sign and drive, $0 down for some of the leases. Of course, terms and conditions apply. Don't take my word for it. Email me and let me get you set up at Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista. I am Santan Ford, and I am going there next week to help my daughter find the car that she wants. Kind of excited.
The rules of inclusion into Breakdown are as follows. Number 1.
Any game with an FBS program from Arizona.
Or, number 2.
Any ranked Big 12 program.
Or, number 3.
Any game with 2 top 25 teams.
Or, number 4.
Any game involving a team in the NFC West.
Or, number 5.
Any NFL game when both teams have a winning record.
Each Breakdown will have 3 elements.
1 person or matchup that will be the focus of
the stare down.
1 interesting stat to be used by you while drinking a beer to impress a friend.
Beer stat.
And 1 player Doug is watching to prepare for the 2026 NFL Draft in April.
Draft Watch. If your game meets one of the 5 criteria, then your game will be highlighted in sequential order based on kickoff time in this week's college and NFL football breakdown. Breakdown.
Break it all down. Breakdown.
The number 17 Texas Tech University Red Raiders, who are 3-0, at the number 16 University of Utah Utes, who are 3-0. Rice Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City, Utah. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Box 10. Utah is favored by 4.5.
Going into the season, everyone thought that Sam Leavitt was the best quarterback in the conference, and if there was another option, most experts would have chosen Anthony Becht of Iowa State. Instead, if we're just going to go by the early season performance, the 2 best quarterbacks in the Big 12 are playing in this game. Utah's Devin Dampier has become a Heisman dark horse. Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire actually compared during his defensive prep and watching Dampier to his days as a Baylor assistant when he had back-to-back years against Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts in the Sooners' backfield taking on his Bears. Although Coach McGuire's own quarterback, Baron Morton, isn't the level of runner Dampier is, he is close to 1,000 yards passing for the Red Raiders in 3 games this year with a better than 10-to-1 ratio in touchdowns versus interceptions. This will be an aerial show.
The stare down.
Okay, Kyle Whittingham is a legend. He's one of the great coaches in the history of college football, but he looked lost last year. Now, almost every coach looks lost when he has no idea from week to week who his starting quarterback is and all of the defensive injuries that were littered all throughout the 2 deep. Well, excuses aside, Utah was bad last year. There are no buzzards flying over Whittingham's office, but a win will quench any thirst for blood that was beginning to enter the thoughts of the Muss.
Beer stat.
Coach McGuire has been the head coach at Texas Tech for 3 years. He's lost his opening road game of the year all 3 years.
Draft Watch.
Red Raider edge rusher David Bailey, he wants to prove he's worthy of a first-round pick. Almost every NFL scout already believes both Utah offensive tackles, Caleb Lomu and Spencer Fanu, they've already proven the same thing. Bailey has 1 tackle for loss in each of the first 3 games to start the season. He's only transferred once, but he's been one of the best defensive players in 3 different conferences over the last 3 years. He played at Stanford, so he was one of the best in the Pac-12 his sophomore year.
He was one of the best in the ACC last year, and now, as a redshirt senior, he's one of the best defensive players in the Big 12.
The number 22 Auburn University Tigers, who are 3-0. At the number 11 University of Oklahoma Sooners, who are 3-0. Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma, tomorrow afternoon at 12:30. ABC 15. Oklahoma has to cover 6.5.
3 letters, CFP. This is a great matchup of legendary programs that have not been legendary in a long time. Both deserve, though, their top 25 ranking. Auburn, they knocked off Baylor in Texas, and Oklahoma controlled the top 25 Wolverine team in Norman. Neither of these teams are going to go undefeated through the rest of their conference season. If they have dreams of making the SEC championship game, they can't afford to lose this game. In this day of college football, what's more important is the loser has a near impossible road to the college football playoffs.
The stare down.
It's all on John Mateer. The Sooner quarterback has been special, throwing for almost 1,000 yards in the first 3 games of the season. He also has no problem running over anyone that's in his path. He's rushed for about $160 with some high contact in his 4 touchdown runs. The only weakness in his game is taking sacks. Auburn's defense is top 20 in just about every category except passing defense. Granted, Auburn has been in the lead for long stretches of every game, so the trailing opponent has been tossing the ball around the yard, eating up yards that the Tigers are allowing, but not points. The other issue that makes the passing stats misleading is in college football, sacks come off your rushing total and not your passing total. So Auburn's pass defense would look a lot better statistically if their sacks were included on the other side of the ledger. This game takes on special importance because Mateer is without his center, Troy Everett, who's out for the year. This is not the game to lose the man in charge of line calls. Auburn has 2 elite defensive linemen in Keldrick Falk and Kayron Crawford. The Sooner coaches will be under the gun to make sure transfer Jake Michaela is ready. One positive point, Michaela did transfer from Stanford, so I assume he can handle it at least mentally.
Your stats?
Oklahoma has done something that I think is impossible. They're the 11th ranked team in the country per the Associated Press, yet they're -5 in turnover margin. Only 6 teams in all of FBS are worse.
Your stats?
Yes, I played it again because I have a special second helping. Neither of these teams have been held scoreless once they reach the red zone. If one of them gets knocked out of the 100% in the red zone club, I guarantee they'll end up being knocked out of the undefeated club as well.
Draft watch.
I don't see anyone on Oklahoma's defense that will be drafted on the first day of the draft. However, there's quite a few players that I would be interested in on Friday and Saturday of the draft. But I'm not talking about them in draft watch. I'm going to be judging Tigers center Connor Lew and offensive tackle Xavier Chaplin. How Lew handles the complexity of the Sooner blitzes will go a long way in keeping him as a first-round pick. He's right on the borderline. Tackle Chaplin is 6'7" and 348 pounds. I want to see how well he moves at that weight, especially if R. Mason Thomas is lined up across from him. If Oklahoma decides to put Thomas on the other side of the line, that's a huge compliment and tells me what I want to know about Chaplin.
The number 9 University of Illinois Fighting Illini, who are 3-0. At the number 19 Indiana University Hoosiers, who are 3-0. Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana, tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. 12 News. The Hoosiers are favored by 4.5.
There's no way you're going to believe this, so go ahead and look it up. The only game in college football this weekend that has a top 10 team playing a ranked team is this one. U of I versus IU. That means it's official. The apocalypse is upon us. I don't think you can magnify this game enough if we look at it through the prism of the CFP. It makes sense to assume OSU, Penn State, and Oregon make up the CFP coming out of the Big Ten. There are also 5 SEC teams ranked in the top 12 with Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee at 13, 14, 15. Then you throw in the ACC, the Big 12, and a group of 5 getting a guaranteed spot. I don't see any way the loser of this game would have the resume to earn a 4th bid from the conference if the Big Ten even gets as much. Obviously, if the loser of this game goes on a tear through the rest of the conference, sure, they can reclaim the spot. But do you really expect either team to do that?
The stare down.
Darren, right at Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier. Illinois has chosen not to challenge itself in the non-conference, beating Duke and 2 directional schools, with only one of the directional schools even being in the FBS. However, wow, the Illini are averaging 45 points a game, which is top 15, and the defense is allowing only a touchdown per game, which is top 5. Add to it that Altmaier has thrown for 8 touchdowns without a pick while completing over 70% of his passes. The stats say I'm sold, but I haven't really seen him be able to do it against a decent defense. I'm not ready to say Indiana is, but I'll certainly have a problem if Altmaier has a bad game. I'm staring him down because everything is going right for Illinois, and he's the key for continuing that trend.
Your stat?
15. The last time Indiana beat a top 10 opponent in Bloomington, Indiana, my parents were 15 years old.
Draft watch.
Really disappointed in what happened at the end of the Illinois-Western Michigan game. Cornerback Xavier Scott messed up his ankle. Chances are very low that he's going to be ready to go for the IU game. Even Coach Brett Bielema said that as of now, he wouldn't play, and that was 2 days ago. I know nothing about IU quarterback Fernando Mendoza. I really wanted to see how well he could find wide receiver Elijah Sarrett with Scott in coverage. I looked at it like I got a second-round quarterback projection throwing to a third-round wide receiver against a fourth-round DB. It would have been perfect combination of talent to be able to evaluate. Instead, I'm going to watch Illini edge rusher Gabe Lucas against Indiana tackle Carter Smith. I've got both guys as weekend draft picks, but the winner, I'm going to bump them up to a Friday draft pick.
The 2-1 Arizona State University Sun Devils at the 2-1 Baylor University Bears, McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. Tomorrow at 4:30, Fox 10. Baylor is favored by 2.5.
I admit I'm being a little overdramatic when I explain that this is one of the biggest games in the current future of the Sun Devil program. Okay, the words current and future aren't usually used together, but stay with me on this. Everyone knows how great the 2024 season was for ASU. We also know that the world operates in a what have you done for me lately type of environment. If you're a kid in Texas, unless your parents went to A&M, you want to play for Texas. But who's your second choice? Well, usually A&M, but about third choice. You see, there are 7th and 8th graders right now who noticed ASU for the first time in their life last year, when Arizona State won in Arlington and took the Big 12 championship. Well, this Baylor game starts a conference stretch of 4 of 5 straight games, either in Texas or against a Texas school. At Baylor, home against TCU, at Utah, home against Texas Tech, and then home against Houston. It's actually 5 of the last 6 games overall if you include last week's win over non-conference Texas State. So let's say ASU goes 5-1 in this mostly Texas stretch. Not only do they put themselves in a prime spot to repeat earning an invitation back to Texas for the Big 12 championship game, but they also make Texas their recruiting backyard for those 7th and 8th graders. That's back-to-back years in the prime of their life of decision-making, and all they see is maroon and gold. Now, if you add to that Coach Aguano's connections to Polynesia and the lack of good college football in California, this could be the biggest month in the future of ASU football.
The stare down.
I'm going to go with the ASU offensive line. Their opponent Saturday is, of course, the Baylor defense, but I'm going to shift the focus of
the stare down.
I say the opponent for the ASU O-line is the Bears offense. No, the offenses won't be on the field at the same time, but Baylor is averaging over 500 yards of offense. With the Devils suffering through some devastating injuries in the defensive secondary, I don't think ASU could win on the road straight up. This offensive line must allow the Devils' running game to kill the Bears with 1,000 cuts. If ASU wants to win, Coach Ward is going to need to design some blitz packages to manufacture the pressure needed to take the load off the back end. Blitzes will never get home if Baylor is in the lead because they can have a balanced offense. The ASU offense, therefore, needs to do more than score.
The Devils need long touchdown drives with strong running game that force Baylor's offense to counter quickly, which then leaves them susceptible to some of the exotic ASU defensive schemes. Speaking of exotic defensive schemes, that's what Baylor does. Head coach Kenny Dillingham explained the challenges this ASU O-line is going to face.
They're a good football team. They're well coached. You know, I coached with their defense coordinator, Coach Powell, at Oregon. He's one of the best defensive minds. You know, Coach Aranda is known to be one of the best defensive minds, and Coach Pav is like, they've got an unbelievable staff there, and they do a really, really good job putting pressure on you, both sides of the ball. They're stout up front on the defensive line. They're big. They're strong. They bring all their simulated pressures where you have no clue where it's coming from. They play odd. They play even. I think the greatest challenge is putting our guys in the best position to be successful and play fast.
Beer stat.
The longest current regular season winning streak in the Big 12 stands at 6, which is Baylor's winning streak, not ASU, the conference champion. Although ASU is technically on a 6-game conference winning streak, it included the postseason matchup and the win against Iowa State. ASU won 5 straight conference games to get there. Last year, Baylor started the season 0-3 and then won 6 in a row, but it wasn't enough because ASU went 7-2.
Draft watch.
Baylor tight end Michael Trigg is 6'4", he's 240. Right now, he's not in the top 5 of draft-eligible tight ends. However, he's a redshirt senior, so this is his last season to show scouts that he should be moved up into the top 5. I would love for my Commanders to draft him with their first pick of the weekend, meaning the beginning of the 4th round. Now, you're really going to laugh at me. I'm also watching both punters in this game. Yes, I know. I don't think I'd actually draft either one, but they have my attention as a potential priority free agent.
The 2-0 Los Angeles Rams at the 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Fox 10, Philadelphia has to cover 3.5.
I love this game. Brilliant coaching matchup, top-notch quarterback matchup, strength versus strength at almost every position group. Plus, I love it's on local television at 10 in the morning. Makes it easy. Of course, I'll be at Mass when this game starts, so don't tell me what happens, because I'll be watching it on the DVR.
The Stare Down.
I love the draft picks for the Eagles of Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I thought the Cardinals actually failed big time, and I still do. When they traded back in the 2nd round, they could have drafted Cooper DeJean out of Iowa and instead ended up with Max Melton. Well, now the pressure will be on both of those Eagles' young quarterbacks going up against the Rams' offense. Nakua and Adams are averaging 189 yards combined per game. Basically meaning they are just a tick under each of them getting 100 yards apiece in the passing game. If these two young corners can force Stafford to just hesitate for a second as he looks their way to his 2 big wide receivers, that'll go a long way giving the Eagles pass rush the time it needs to affect the quarterback. Eagles probably win no matter what, but if these young corners win their matchups, it becomes a no doubt.
Beer stat.
51. 2024 Saquon Barkley averaged 125 yards a game on his way to 2,000 yards and the league rushing title. This year, Saquon Barkley averages only 74 yards a game and is barely in the NFL's top 10 of all running backs. 51 yards a game is the gap between his average last year and this one. If you have him on your fantasy team, you didn't need my help to know that.
The 0-2 New Orleans Saints at the 1-1 Seattle Seahawks, Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington, Sunday at 1 p.m. Sunday ticket. Seattle's favored by 7.5.
What a strange scheduling quirk. The Saints start the season against 3 NFC West teams. They got a huge benefit to start the season with 2 of those games at home. But now it's a huge negative because they've started 0-2 before going on the long flight to Seattle. What's crazy about this game is strength versus injuries. The power of Seattle's defensive front with Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, and Derek Hall should have no problem dominating a Saints O-line that could be missing 2 starters.
The stare down.
Clint Kubiak, he's the Seattle offensive coordinator, and he was the offensive coordinator of the Saints just last year. So there's so many juicy storylines. The payback factor, since they brought in a new offense and Kubiak was left to go somewhere else. The amount of film that the Saints already have on his offense. The defense of the Saints, remembering all of those training camp practices and almost every practice against the same offense. They're going to know this thing very well. It might be Kubiak's wrinkles that win the game, or the Saints seeing through that eye candy that determines who wins.
Your stat?
Saints quarterback Spencer Rattler hasn't thrown an INT this year. That's good. However, Seattle's secondary already has 4 picks this year. Only the Jaguars' whole team has more.
The 2-0 Arizona Cardinals at the 2-0 San Francisco 49ers. Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. Sunday at 1:25. Box 10. The 49ers have to cover 1.5.
This is the only undefeated divisional game on the board this week. Since the entire division plays both of the South divisions, there will be a huge line at the buffet for wins. All 4 teams should feast. So what does that mean? It makes these divisional games enormous. Listen, obviously, the 6 divisional games are huge for every team in the NFL. But in the NFC West, it may be the only chance at separation. Winning one of the 3 road games could be the difference in determining whether or not you play deep into January. Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon, what do you see when you look at the 49ers?
Really good football team. I mean, they got 2 big-time wins on the road, so this will be their home opener, so that'll be a challenge, the environment. It's Kyle Shanahan team, man. They're always going to be one of the premier teams in the NFL. He's that good.
The stare down.
Well, not that you asked me, Coach, but when I look at this game, what I stare down is the Cardinals' offensive problems. While everyone screams at Drew Petzing to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., that's not the issue. The truth is the problems in this running game. They are not getting it done. Do better in the run game, more first downs, more plays, then we can finally talk about getting the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Despite the incredible scramble from Murray last week, he's 10th among quarterbacks in yards rushing. Now think about that for a second. This guy that everybody talks about is a great runner of the football, is 10th in quarterback rushing yards. There are 22 teams in the NFL that average 300 yards total per game. Arizona is not one of them. In every defensive stat, the 49ers are either good or great. They've given up only 166 yards per game through the air. Kyler and company have been very poor for 2 weeks against weak defenses. He must massively ramp it up if the Cardinals want to stay on top of the division.
Your stat?
Okay, speaking of Kyler, this will come as a complete shock. Kyler Murray is right now 24th in the NFL in passing yards at 383. What's insane is Brock Purdy and Mac Jones are barely behind him, and both has only played 1 game. Brock Purdy threw for 277 yards. Mac Jones has 279. They're ranked 29th and 30th in the NFL. They're only 5 spots behind Kyler, who's played 2 games.
Your stat?
Since this is the local game, I got to come twice. Got to come hard for this. How about 18 inches? That's your second stat. There are 7 quarterbacks who average more rushing yards per game than James Conner does. Yes, I said quarterbacks. It would be 8 quarterbacks, but James Conner is averaging 18 inches more rushing yards per game than Baker Mayfield. And that is your week 4 of the college football season. Week 3 of the NFL season. Breakdown. You know what time it is. It's summer in Arizona. You've got to have the Parker & Sons phone number ready to go. Air conditioning in Phoenix is too important
to trust anybody but the best. Parker & Sons were recommended to us when we first moved here. That was 17 years ago. They've been on time every time. They've gotten it right the first time every time. Call 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602, the number 2, then REPAIR for Parker & Sons.
It's big, it's juicy, it's meaty. Get your burrito at Burrito Express. If you're having a hangover, a bad day, even a good day, still get your burrito at Burrito Express. It will make you feel better.
Time for us to do some football deep dives and prove to you why this is the Tailgate Show of Doug Franz Unplugged. Okay, now that we're diving deep into the Tailgate shows, what these mean is my dream is to someday, well, maybe not a dream, that's a little strong, but earn back a Cardinals credential. And then going to ASU games on a Saturday, going to Cardinals games on a Sunday, I'm walking through the parking lot and someone's listening to Doug Franz Unplugged to get the breakdown of football in general. Because imagine the power of you tailgating and breakdown comes on, and other people are thinking, what is that? And they hear what you just heard and think, well, I want that on my Fridays. You know, I want to be able to bring that to the table. That would be awesome. So let's start we've already done breakdown. Let's start everything to do with our tailgate with ASU. That way, if you're listening to the show kind of chronologically and not jumping around, it might be now Saturday morning, you're driving to somebody's house, you're going to see the ASU game. So I want to talk about ASU first, and then we'll get to Cardinals. And it'll always go in that order. It'll go ASU, U of A, and then Cardinals when we look at games. That way, if you don't get through the entire tailgate show on Friday or Saturday, you can save the Cardinals portion coming up for your drive-in or your tailgate on Sunday. I think ASU is going to win. I do. It's going to be, I could easily be wrong, though, I admit on this one. This is going to be close. Xavier Alford being out is just death for ASU. They're going to need him. But when I started playing with some of the stats, ASU is 56th in the country in penalty yards. Baylor is 92nd. You want to be higher you want to be lower in number because it means you're lower in giving up yards. ASU gives up 44.5 yards per game. Baylor gives up 59.5 yards per game. So for two evenly matched teams, sometimes penalties have a lot to do with it. Yards per play offensively, this is a problem. Baylor is 27th best in the country at 6.3 yards per play. ASU averages a yard less. Now you might say, well, that's not that big of a deal. It's a yard less. Well, that means they're in 72nd place. They're 50 spots better on the Baylor offense than the ASU offense. I think that reflects how terrible Sam Leavitt played against Mississippi State. And I believe Sam has that fixed. Now, here's something that this is going to be huge. The beginning of the game. Both teams are an equal disaster at the beginning of the game. First quarter points. ASU averages 1.5 points in the first quarter. Baylor averages 1.5 points in the first quarter. They are they are tied at 104th in the FBS. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are 133 teams this year. I might be wrong and it's 134. So there's only about 29 or 30 teams in football worse than ASU and Baylor at scoring in the first quarter. So if one of these teams scores a touchdown in the first quarter, it's shocking to their average. So I actually think that matters. Who can get off to a decent start and put pressure on the other team. Opposing yards per play grabbed me. This is a sign. Think about this. Opposing yards per play. Think about the gashing that's been going on for ASU's defense. The 3 long Mississippi State touchdowns, right? Arizona State's giving up 4.3 yards per play. You take a guess. Out of the 133 teams, where does that rank them? You think it's not bad? You think it's average? You think it's terrible? 4.3. They're ranked 24th. That's it. And I say that's it as a positive, meaning, wow, are you kidding? Like if you would have asked me where do the Sun Devils rank in their opponent's yards per play, meaning the yards per play they give up, I would have said easily 70th, 80th place. They're in 24th. Baylor's in 106th place. They give up 2 more yards per play than the Sun Devils do at 6.3. Okay. Third down defense. You convert 36% of the time against Arizona State's defense. That's top 12 in the country. You convert 43% of the time against Baylor's defense. That's number 22. Okay. And then here's the biggest one of all. Opponent's passer rating. I love this stat. How good do you make the other team's quarterback? Both teams aren't very good at this. The quarterback rating of ASU's opposing quarterbacks is at a 139. That's 81st worse, in a sense. Baylor's at 124 overall ranking because they allow 176 quarterback rating. There are 9 teams in college football worse in that stat at quarterback ranking. When I look at, like, I'm a numbers guy. When I go breakdown on those numbers, and then I project Sam Leavitt forward, I feel really good about ASU winning. But oh my gosh, the offensive line has to play well. They really need to be able to run the football and get that established and run it back down their throat. I also stole this from the Arizona Republic's Michelle Gardner. She wrote about how bad Baylor has been in kickoff cover. Well, we know how good ASU is. ASU's had 1 touchdown called back, but still, I mean, it doesn't count. It wasn't a touchdown. But when it was a hold on a guy that wasn't going to make the tackle anyway, I don't give an excuse. It was a hold. It was a good call. But if I'm judging the special teams unit, I'm saying, okay, I know you can get big time yards quickly. And if they're not good at kickoff cover, I think that could be a big advantage for Arizona State. So I like this. The key is going to be to make sure that they run the ball successfully, take the Baylor crowd out of the game with a slow, methodical running of the football, and then ASU gets the win. So I like ASU here in this game. Do I have any thrilling ASU sound for you? All right, no, I don't. So let's get to Cardinals. Since I just did a numbers deep dive, I'll do the Cardinals number deep dive in just a second. I don't want to go numbers into numbers. That might drive you nuts. Well, let's go through some of the sound of the week that I didn't get to that really highlights this matchup, all thanks to the Arizona Cardinals YouTube page. Calais is one of my favorite human beings in football. And CC, what do you see from the 49ers?
Talent all over the place, You got one of the best O-linemen in this era of football. Weapons all over the place. A receiver, big bodies that can stretch the field, and great savvy route runners. You got a great scheme. I mean, the scheme is probably the most impressive of everything that they do. You know, you don't really get a beat on anything, right? You just got to play everything square up. And for a guy like me, it's a little tougher because I like to take advantage of the opportunities when you kind of know what's coming. But you know, they do a really good job of making you have to play very, very disciplined ball. You know, really the offense goes to 23 though. You know, Chris McCaffrey's in his bag. You know, even in the pass game, he's such a dynamic player, and they do a good job of finding ways to get him the ball. You know, I mean, to win the ball game, we have to stop him. Tackling is the biggest thing. Tackling well.
The reason why that grabbed me so much is everybody. It just shows you perspective. Everybody, when they look at the 49ers, looks at Christian McCaffrey. They look at Kyle Shanahan. Then some will go to Brock Purdy. But where did Calais Campbell go? He said McCaffrey at the end, but not first. He didn't say Kyle Shanahan's schemes. He went with Trent Williams.
You got one of the best O-linemen in this era of football.
When looking at the 49ers, only a hardcore defensive lineman would be the first thing to say one of the great offensive linemen of his era, and that is Trent Williams. Gosh, that's crazy. I forgot. I'm even a Washington fan, and I had forgotten that he was the 4th pick overall. I remember being excited about that, but I remember liking him a lot. This is 15 years ago, so I might be wrong, but I think I remember liking him a lot, but not liking him with that high. It's like, man, I like this guy. And then when Washington drafted, like, hey, number 4? Are we sure? But man, has he been a fantastic draft pick, and Washington shot themselves in the foot in how they handled him. So now he's been a San Francisco 49er for a long time and doing fantastic. So I thought that was interesting. That's the first place where Calais goes. Now, Jonathan Gannon goes right to McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's a game changer. You know, we talked about that in the meeting today. Like, he's a really good football player, both in the run and pass game. He's hard to tackle. He's got great vision, great acceleration. He can hit home runs. He's a matchup nightmare. He's one of the premier guys in this league, and I think offensively how they use them is very creative and cutting edge, and it can cause some problems. There's no doubt. So we got to be very aware of where he is when they deploy him different ways, who's on him, where your help is. We definitely, have to have a plan for him.
That point right there is so vital. Like, every team knows McCaffrey's good. But where the confusion comes in is when they start motioning him around. Because it can be very simple. You put him over here in the slot, all right. If we're in man, that means this guy has him. If we're in zone, that means this is how we're going to handle him. But remember, he's going to start in the backfield. So if he starts in the backfield and then shifts out, there's got to be great communication from the defense of who's actually got him and making sure that everybody else is covered. Or sometimes he'll start in the slot and then motion into the backfield. Well, now, if he was your responsibility, maybe he's no longer your responsibility since he's not lined up in the slot anymore. So now what's your responsibility? And what if Christian McCaffrey was in the slot, goes back to the backfield, but then runs a pass out of the backfield or runs a pattern out of the backfield? Well, now that happened, once he got back there, the responsibility might have changed to somebody else. And now, boom, he's running a pass pattern. That's on you. And in that moment of confusion, somebody else might get open. And none of that matters if he's just gashing you without motion. Mike Shanahan or Kyle Shanahan's not going to throw in extra motion if he doesn't need to. If you can't stop him, he won't even go to any change in plans. And that's the brilliance of Kyle Shanahan. How hard is it, Coach? JG, when you got to go up against Shanahan?
Hard, difficult. Yeah. He's there's a reason he is who he is. He's brilliant. I think he adapts really well during a game, what he sees going on, how defenses are trying to negate some of the things that he likes to do, and he has multiple compliments to, if you're going to live like that, he's going to stress you out a little bit. So he's fantastic. It's hard. It's hard.
What he's kind of referring to there is a lot of what are called boots and waggles. We talk about play calling, like fans and media will sometimes talk about play calling in a way that's not really what happens. It's kind of like building a story. When you're calling plays, you do some things in the first quarter. Sure, you want every play to go score a touchdown. But some of the plays are, what are you going to do if I do this? Oh, okay. You're going to do that. Well, now I know that this offshoot of that play will work. So let's say I run a stretch zone run. So that means Brock Purdy or Mac Jones takes the snap. They run to their left. And they're running as far out left as they can go. And Christian McCaffrey takes the handoff, and he's looking at a zone blocking scheme in which basically it's like a bunch of dancing bears. All five guys are all slanting to the left and just running, just trying to run upfield and take another human being with them. And Christian McCaffrey, you try to see where there's a hole. You choose. Totally up to you. But there's no way all five of us are losing. So whoever's winning and creating the hole, you cut it into that hole. Well, Kyle Shanahan isn't really watching to see what Christian McCaffrey does. He's watching to see, how are you defending this? And then if your backside guys aren't staying backside, okay. At some point later in the game, exact same formation. I keep saying Mac Jones or Brock Purdy because we don't know who's starting yet. But Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, they run right. They stretch the ball out as far as they can. And then right when Christian McCaffrey gets there, they pull it out. It's play action. Now they roll completely the other way with the hope that Kyle Shanahan already saw your defense running like nut jobs to get over the last time. They sold out. They're not going to be able to catch whoever it is as a receiver that's now open on the backside. So now the quarterback turns around, runs to the opposite sideline that he was originally headed to for the fake handoff, and is hoping, I've got three options now. High, low, me. He comes around, he turns his head, he looks deep at one receiver that's probably running some kind of sail route. So let's say the receiver's on the left, and you had a situation where Brock Purdy tried to go left to hand the ball to Christian McCaffrey, and then boom, Purdy peels back and now is going right. That receiver that was on the left ran across the whole formation to the other side. So while all of the defense is running right, this one guy is running left. That's hard to keep up with. He's the high man, you can throw it deep. But Buddha figured it out. So Buddha's got the high man, we're safe. Well, underneath what was happening, remember I said McCaffrey and Purdy were both going to their left in this recent example. Well, whoever is on the right side of the line, you might have a tight end over there or use check over there, and they're standing there blocking, because, hey, we're running left. I'm blocking, we're running left. Boom, he releases. But the way he releases is if he got beat. I'm blocking you. Oh, you beat me. Good job. You got through my block, and now you're running over there. You're running to my left. Wow, you might make the tackle. Too bad the ball's not there. And now I slip out and I'm short. not in stature. I'm the low man. The high man's about 20 yards down the field. I'm about 8 yards down the field. So now Brock Purdy can read high to low. Is my deep guy open? No. Is my underneath guy open? Yes. Throw it to the underneath guy, and at worst, you get a 5-yard gain. Oh no, it's 2nd and 5. And if they actually take both of those options away, Purdy just keeps it. Picks up 3 or 4 yards. Not bad. 2nd and 7. You're still reasonably ahead of the chains. All of that because the first time they ran the stretch zone and Christian McCaffrey actually ran the ball, you overplayed it. So now I'm going to burn you the next time through. And if you don't overplay it, McCaffrey might just break it. You hand it off to McCaffrey. You don't have enough people there. You don't have enough hats in the box. Boom. He just takes it. All of that goes on in the Kyle Shanahan offense. And you know it's coming and you can't stop it. And that doesn't even have anything to do with the little wrinkles he puts in. So this was a pretty good question asked by the Cardinals in-house paid-for media that's asked to, that's paid to ask easy questions and take up times from the legitimate reporters. Actually asked something that was kind of interesting. As you coach longer in the league and in this division against Kyle Shanahan, does it at least make it a little easier against Kyle Shanahan?
A little bit, but Kyle's, he's always going to change and adapt to who he's playing and what he thinks is the best way to go about it. So there'll be some things that we haven't seen on tape, even playing them for however many years now that we've been here. Plus these last 2 games, you're going to get some wrinkles.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's always going to be something new. So Buddha was asked a question about just his prep, but just simply, do you kind of get a little more jacked up now that it's a divisional game? Like, this is huge. Road game in the division. Do you get a little more jacked up for this?
There's always extra juice. Each and every week you get more juice as you go, just because it's a new opportunity to play the game, and a new opportunity, new play calls, new scenarios, and for me personally, going against a new offensive scheme each and every week, and I love the process of the details throughout the week, and then on Sunday, just have fun.
The reason why I wanted to play that for you, and I realize that's not earth-shattering. You didn't have to know that, but it just goes to who Buddha is. Do you get extra juice now that it's a divisional game? No, I get extra juice every week. Every week it's a new challenge. Every week it's a new offense. Every week it's something new to get ready for. I mean, that shows you how much he loves the game. That shows you how much he wants to win. He enjoys all this. And it's not, I'm more excited because we're playing this team. No, I'm more excited because I get to play football again. That's really cool. All right, last one, Cardinals. Calais Campbell was asked about the issues of closing out the opponent and not just being able to step on them and end the game. And I really like what Calais says here.
Yeah, the execution, and making the plays that are there for us. I think when you get these early leads and having to, maintain them for a whole ball game, in this business, you've seen it time and time again. It's the NFL. Teams they're gonna rally. They're gonna compete. You're not gonna just lay down. And so we got to do a better job of finishing people. But that comes down to just making the plays when they're there for us. Out executing them, understanding the situations, and just being more efficient. But I think for me, I'd rather get that lesson with a win. So I'm happy we got those wins. In this business, it's, how do you learn from it? How do you grow for this next opportunity? And I wouldn't be surprised if this next game was another game where it came down to the very last play, and we had to fight for it. And hopefully we'll feel battle tested and prepared and ready. But they're the same way. They're both their games went down to the last play too. And so it's just that's football.
Just a better perspective. Hey, they're 2-0, and both of their games were last play. And he's talking about, nobody lays down, especially early in the year. So you get the lead, they're coming. Here's something that's going to get you. I appreciate the way Calais has handled that. You ready for my stat sheet for this Arizona game? You probably already knew this, but just to put it into perspective, San Francisco is in 12th place in the NFL in fourth quarter scoring. They average 8.5 points in every fourth quarter, more than a touchdown. They score more than a touchdown in the fourth quarter. The Cardinals average 0. The Cardinals are in 32nd place when it comes to fourth quarter average. They have not scored a point in the fourth quarter. They are the only team in football that has not scored a point in the fourth quarter. The Tennessee Titans have at least put up a field goal one time in their first two games. The Raiders have scored 6 points in the fourth quarter, therefore they average 3. That's how bad the Cardinals are. This offense has been so pathetic in the fourth quarter that it hangs the defense out to dry. And yet, here's Calais to say, hey, we just got to execute. That's a great teammate. When the truth is this offense has completely laid an egg in the fourth quarter. Offensive ranking, San Francisco averages 364 yards a game. That's 8th place in the league. Cardinals are only at 284. That's 24th in the league. Yet here's where it gets weird. Yards per play, both are tied in 16th place at 5.2. So think about that. Every play, the Cardinals and 49ers average the same amount of yards. But every game, the 49ers average 80 more yards. Now, obviously, it doesn't take a genius to say, well, that means the 49ers have more plays. How do they get more plays? The 49ers are the third best offense on third down. In their first 2 weeks, they convert 51%, almost 52% of their third downs. The Cardinals are just a tick under 41%. They're the 17th best third down offense. In other words, San Francisco is elite on third down. The Cardinals are average on third down. Compare that to the opponent's third down percentage. Your opponent. So what does the other team's offense do against you? 49ers allow the opponent to convert 33% of their third downs. That's good for 6th place in the NFL. Arizona's not terrible. They're at 34.5, but that's 10th place. So listen to that gap. San Francisco is 3rd place when they're trying to convert third down, and they're in 6th place when they're trying to stop you from converting your third down. That means they get a lot more plays than the other team. So the offenses average the same number of yards per play, but that's why the 49ers dominate so much more in yards per game. And then here's something else to keep an eye on that really bothered me, and that is sack percentage. When Brock Purdy or Mac Jones drops back to pass, they are sacked 5% of the time. That's 11th place. When Kyler Murray drops back to pass, he is sacked 10% of the time. Now, you might say, okay, what's really the difference between 5% and 10%? That's not that big of a deal. Well, the 49ers are almost top 10. The Arizona Cardinals rank 28th. There's only 4 quarterbacks that get sacked more often when they throw a pass than Kyler Murray. And don't say it's a bad offensive line. That's Kyler Murray not seeing the coverage and getting the ball out on time and taking sacks, or hurting the statistics of his offensive line because he refuses to throw the ball out of bounds to avoid taking the snap. How many times does he step out of bounds? About 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You might say, it's 2 yards, I don't care. No, there's a big difference between 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 5. 1st and 10 and 2nd and 12. versus being able to just save a couple of yards to make the third down conversion easier. That's why you end up in 17th place in third down conversions as an offense, because you do that. Same thing when it comes to total defense and yards per play. It's the exact same thing. These numbers are so interesting. The 49ers total defense is in 6th place. They only give up 268 yards. The Cardinals total defense is in 21st place. They give up 333 yards. Yet the opponent's yards per play, they're tied again. They're both the 6th best defense in the league at giving up 4.6 yards per play. Again, that's crazy that they're tied in both stats of yards per play. Offensively at getting 5.2 yards a play, defensively at giving up 4.6 yards a play. But total offense and total defense, massive gap, because the 49ers get off the field and the Cardinals don't. Now, here is one stat that the 49ers are terrible in, and let's stare down Kyler Murray for a second. I love the stat defensive quarterback rating. Okay? Defensive quarterback rating. How good is your defense against their quarterback? The Arizona Cardinals defense is 9th best in the league. The two quarterbacks they played are only have an 81 quarterback average. Now, granted, it was Bryce Young and Spencer Rattler, not two guys that are destined for the Hall of Fame. San Francisco, who I just showed you has a much better defense overall, is 23rd in defensive quarterback rating. The first 2 weeks of the season, quarterbacks up against the 49ers defense have a rating of 105.7. Anything over 100 is great. So far this year, the 49ers have turned opposing quarterbacks into Hall of Famers for a day. That's how bad they've been. This is what makes this game fascinating to me from a stare-down Kyler standpoint. If the 49ers are allowing quarterbacks a 105 quarterback rating in the first 2 weeks, what are you going to be able to do, Kyler? If you can't light them up in the pass game, it's further proof of who you are. And in my opinion, you're an average quarterback. There's your little deep dive. U of A fans, you'll get one too next week when you play. I'll try to do a deep dive every week, getting into the numbers. What do they mean? And how do you combat them with the sound of the players and the coaches? So you just feel this tailgate show. You feel football when you listen to Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, every time you listen on a Friday. Now, that's on the field. Now, to help you with your fantasy team, it's time for Guru Brad. Every Tuesday morning, we've got Guru Rich. He helps you out with certain aspects of your fantasy team. Now let's go to Guru Brad. So the name says No Name Henry, but it's an actuality Guru Brad. And of course, you know the first question. Would you like to explain your team's performance in the first 2 weeks of the season? Because I would assume the only two people you really cared about beating overall would be Rich and me, and you're now 0-2. And your team's not close. I mean, you've got some heart problems on this team.
I beg to differ. I'm actually more concerned with championships than
I see.
the peasants like you and Rich.
I see.
I'm focusing on the main goal. So, I know you guys think you're in my mind, but honestly, it's merely a stepping stone to get to my goal. I tripped on one stone, no big deal. I'm still walking, still going. And I'm telling you, I love my team. You're going to watch. It's going to start popping. And once it gets cold out, everybody's team changes. Those wide receiver heavy dependent teams, which I am now, I went into, we're going to have a little bit of decisions to make. We're going to have to make the right starts and this and that. When, it's raining and it's cold, the ball these gloves, they do pretty much catch anything now, but it does make it, more difficult.
So for those of you that use our show for fantasy help, every Tuesday, we've got Guru Rich on to help you with your waiver wire hopefuls, things to look out for, and to kind of pre-set up some matchups. And then Guru Brad helps you with your starting lineups on Beer Friday, thanks to 100 Mile Brewing Company. But also the same thing. There might be some late waiver claims that you can grab right now to be able to get going. And I ask you now, if you could check the league standings for the Unplugged Army League, there's one person that's 4-0. Who is that?
I would say that would be you, but
oh my goodness. How did that happen?
Take a gander. I think you've been listening to some good advice.
I have been.
So.
I haven't. You guys haven't talked to yourselves, but you've just been both talking to me, and that's what's helped. If you don't know, obviously the question: how can somebody be 4-0 in the first 2 weeks of the season? Rich and Brad set up our league, and what I didn't know.
Not only are you 4-0, you have scored the most points of anyone in the league.
I didn't know that. Wow,
you were at 226 points. And it goes 221 and then all the way to the 205s, 206.
Wow. And so far I'm winning 19-7 this week. Not that anybody cares your lead on a Thursday night, but I had James Cook, who got me all 19.3 of my points so far. Yeah.
He's a beast. Number 5 going forward. Do not trade him. No. Start him in your lineup and just forget about it.
This is kind of funny because I am not the guru and I have to ask questions, and yet I'm dominating the league. But granted, it's only through 2 weeks and they don't hand out 2-week trophies. But the thing about James Cook, they also, I don't know, do you stack players when it's on the same team but for non-injury related things? Because they actually rotate. I mean, Josh Allen is such an animal that they rotate, and he throws to all of his running backs.
Yeah, not only that, but he throws to all the receivers and tight ends on his team. I believe it was week 1, he threw to 9 different receivers. Week 2, it was 8 different receivers. And tonight it was 8 or 9. I couldn't remember what it finished off at. So, I mean, that's dispersing the ball, which you love from your quarterback because, no matter what he's getting plays from on, he's not relying on a Tyreek Hill or, a Zay Flowers or one of these big guys to go get those numbers. He can actually just produce on his own. And if not, he can just take it off. He's got the wheels. He can just run. So Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, to me, are far above any other quarterbacks this year. They make it look like they're playing it with ease. Like they're running off to the side and they're just like, oh, who should I throw it to? When everyone else is like, make the first down. They're kind of almost like a little panic in their head.
Let's try to help other people in their leagues. Give me some matchups that you like, whether it's this wide receiver against this team or whether it's this whole defense is terrible. Start every player on this team. Like, who are you kind of looking at where you say there's an advantage this week if you have these players?
I like the Falcons. I know Pitts, he hasn't been off to a great start, but I do think this is the week he's going to get a touchdown. He got 8 targets week 1. I believe it was 6 targets week 2. So he's getting a lot of looks, but they're more for 3 to 7 yard gains, nothing really down the field. So I'm just waiting for that connection to break. And especially in the end zone, he's such a big target. So I have to eat my words on it. He seems like he's catching the ball this year. Him and Quentin Johnson. So they've really surprised me this year.
I have T. Higgins. I'm assuming a lot of people were fighting to get Jamar Chase. Are you worried about either of those two going forward with Joe Burrow possibly being ready after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Cincinnati is always a weird team to me because they seem like they don't want to play the first 6 weeks of the year. And then they just turn on the Jets and they barely make the playoffs and then they make a good run.
What's interesting is the first time ever under their Zach Taylor as coach, they played starters in the preseason for the exact reason you're talking about, because they're tired of the 0-3 starts. And of course, where are they this year? They're 2-0.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Browning came in and he played pretty well. I mean, he was definitely, I mean, some would say Jamar Chase was better with Browning than he was Burrow. And Hensley, did you see that play that he caught in the end zone?
Yes.
You know, that was his first ever NFL catch.
I guess I didn't. Yeah.
That was his first ever NFL catch. Like, what a catch to make as your first one. And he's not a rookie. So that's pretty impressive.
Do you officially believe in Daniel Jones?
I have to. I don't want to, but I have to. So I have to believe in Indy, their kicker. I think I heard a stat. I don't know if it held true because it was in the third quarter, but they had not scored on a possession that they had. They never punted for the first 7 quarters of the season, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you're like Daniel Jones, and you almost wonder, because he got so much money, if it's almost like, what do I got to lose? Yeah. If he's almost playing without that fear of New York and all the critics and being judged, he's just in Indianapolis. So I think it's a lot more stress-free. He's made money, so he doesn't have to worry about working for a new contract. And surprisingly enough, Indy's got a lot of weapons there. They drafted that new tight end Warren. That's a great addition. So I don't know. And just like Russ Wilson, until I see further, I have to assume like Malik Neighbors and, Robinson, their numbers are going to continue. But I would drop Tracy in that offense.
Okay.
Scadaboo is the guy to go to. I believe Jennifer is the one that rosters him.
Yeah.
Do not trade him. He is going to be a beast come 2-3 weeks from now.
And then think about it when it gets colder, as long as he stays healthy.
Dude, the way he ran and knocked those 3 guys down, he is a contact-driven player. I forget who that linebacker was. He would literally, it was from Houston. He got a bunch of concussions.
Yeah.
But he would just look for contact. He want to hit people. So those are the guys you want on your team.
No, he's and he hasn't changed at all. Let's see.
And he's a local favorite. So
of course. Same kind of the same question. Do you, even though he was a stud in the past, they're 2-0. Is it time to re-believe in Matthew Stafford, especially with Nakua and the way he's playing, and Devontae Adams?
Yeah, Devontae Adams had something like 15 targets week 1, which that might be one of the highest numbers I've seen. He only caught 7 of them, which is kind of almost like a red flag to me as well. It's almost like they're forcing it to him. And I don't know if it's because I didn't watch enough film to see if he's not catching the ball or if it's just good coverage, or, Matthew's just not putting the ball where he needs to because he might not have that chemistry built yet. But I mean, even if you're getting 7 catches, that's really great in that offense. And with Puka Nakua, who, in my opinion, he's going to be the number 1 receiver this year. If you have Puka, be happy and just pray he doesn't get hurt, because that guy he is just what you want in a wide receiver. So as long as Stafford's arm stays healthy, that shoulder, I mean, you can't not want to start him. And the Rams defense is playing well. So I think everything points to it. But Kyren Williams is something I do have a little red flag about.
Okay.
He has not been dominating like he has in the past. So Blake Corum is kind of a deep sleeper guy. If he's available in your leagues, don't worry, Doug, he's not in ours, so don't go picking up your phone. But he is a guy that I think, come week 6, 7, 8, could be getting more of a 50-50 share. So
anybody else you're kind of looking at with a side eye? I asked you to, about guys that you're hot for, but you said Williams is on the
Jordan
don't touch
Mason
list.
As well.
Okay.
Jordan Mason, if you can go, well, because Aaron Jones is on IR. So he's got the clear path to the starting job. He's a guy that can handle the workload. We saw it in San Francisco. So if for some reason they don't know that he's the starting guy and he's going to dominate your league, go try and get him, because he might be someone you can get fairly cheap before next week. But after next week, all games are over. So I believe he's going to have about 15 plus points, and people will know.
This was my opinion going into last year's draft, and I hope I'm wrong, but just the way we're sitting here, I could end up being right. I said Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft. However, I think he's going to be like RG3 and be fantastic in year one and get banged up because he's a thin dude and get hurt. And then you're not going to see much of him for the rest of his life. Now, hopefully it's not even that dramatic and that crazy. But from a 2025 fantasy standpoint, are you no longer believing in Daniels? Are you cutting Daniels? Are you just putting him on IR? Are you not even putting him on IR? Where are you on Jaden Daniels?
You definitely don't want to cut Jaden Daniels. I mean, unless you have a spot like George Kittle, possibly Brock Purdy, but I think I'd still hang on to Jaden Daniels over him. Mm-hmm. He's shown so much upside. I mean, that's why you have the IR spot. So you definitely don't want to just drop him because, he could come back, week 10 or something. I don't think he will. He'll be back much sooner than that. But those guys that come back, anyone can get him off the free wire. And then it's like, oh, why did I drop him?
Yeah.
Definitely don't want to drop him, but definitely consider starting someone else. And like you said with that finishing that conversation, you thought Bo Nix would actually be the best person in the draft.
I did because of Jaden Daniels' injuries, and I felt like I was right in year one, and he's becoming a pick machine so far.
Well, no, I do think Bo Nix will be the best out of that draft, and I believe it's because he got paired with the best coach for it.
I totally agree. That was huge. That was
so.
Huge.
I think, and the humbleness of him, he's not going to throw picks and get two down. Like he's going to be a guy that can work through the humps. So, and Troy Franklin, that's another guy. If I'm sure he was picked up in all leagues already, but he went to college in Oregon with him. So that's a really nice stack to have because, they've been comfortable. They've been playing for years. So,
yeah, I'm nervous because I have J.K. Dobbins, so I need to make sure that ball gets spread around.
J.K. Dobbins is the one piece I think you want in that backfield. R.J. Harvey, I don't know what's going on with him. I think that's going to be a little bit more of a project.
And I like that pick, but I bet R.J. Harvey's still learning pass pro.
Yeah, and so that's something you might want to think about. Like if you have a J.K. Dobbins and you're worried about the rookie taking the role later, go try and shop him. See if you can get someone that is going to be there year round. Especially if he gets high value. Always look for the team that has the backup or someone that's running back dependent.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's really huge. I bet a lot of people might be in my quandary, so I'll ask a question that's specific to me, but I have Purdy on IR back from last week. With the corners banged up, like I think the Cardinals are going to be really depleted defensively and they're on the road. I picked up Mac Jones ready to start him. Now there's questions of maybe Purdy's going, but I also have Aaron Rodgers.
No, don't Aaron Rodgers. Just get rid of him.
Wow. We're not even talking about it. Okay.
No. He is just.
He's at New England. Do you like the Patriots defense?
No, the only reason he was good is because he wanted to show the old franchise that he could still play. He is just a salty little girl. I'm sorry. Like he only cared about beating the Jets this year. He hung up the cleats after that game.
Yeah.
You need to get rid of him. And anybody on Pittsburgh, you need to get rid of the defense, DK Metcalf, everybody. Get rid of them.
I do have their defense, and they've let me down in 2 straight weeks. Okay.
Dude, they're going to give up 30 points a week.
No, I agree, but I thought I should keep them for one more week because it's New England. I did.
When they got rid of Fitzpatrick, I thought that was the worst move they did.
Yeah. Are you with me, though? At least keep them through New England. Like, if there's anybody they're playing the Patriots this weekend.
I mean, Drake May's been kind of playing well. So
okay.
I think New England as a franchise has always hated the Steelers. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Kraft came down that room and says, come on, guys, stick it to them. So a couple bottles of champagne on me, So.
Okay. Thank you. Let me turn.
Just to let you know, defense wise, the Chargers defense is out there. That's someone I would start over the Steelers. Pittsburgh? Yeah.
Who do the Chargers this week are home against Bo Nix, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
because I got J.K. Dobbins running against my defense.
But it's a 17-20 game. I don't think it's going to be a big scoring game.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a low scoring affair. So I definitely trust that more than the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, who could care less about anybody or his team or anybody else. So
yeah. In my Bobby Mack league, I absolutely annihilated Bobby Mack, so I'm very happy about that. I actually have James Cook on both teams, which is kind of interesting. But here's a little bit of a dilemma, and I talked a little bit to last week. I talked a little bit to Rich. I should say last week. Earlier in the week, I talked to Rich about this. I want to see what you think. I am benching Ashton Genty for Breece Hall this week. And the reason why is I noticed in the Raiders game, Ashton is horrible. I mean, horrible in pass pro. So he's really only in on first down and sometimes second. He'll stay in if it's second and short, but he's not getting nearly the touches that I wanted. And I got Breece Hall in, but it's not official. So it's my flex. My running backs are Jahmyr Gibbs and a lock on James Cook that I can't remove, and nor would I. So it's either Breece Hall and Ashton Genty at my flex, and I'm not taking out Jahmyr Gibbs, and I would assume that you agree with that. And then
Gibbs stays, yeah.
So then it's my flex. So my flex options are DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Brock Bowers, who's questionable because I started Juwan Johnson ahead of Brock Bowers this week, and Ashton Genty or Breece Hall.
I mean, I think I would start Brock Bowers in your flex.
In my flex and keep Juwan Johnson in at tight end, or take out Juwan Johnson?
No, keep them both in. I like them both. I think they're going to get you
over Breece Hall, over Ashton Genty, over Cooper Kupp, and over DJ Moore.
I do not like the Jets organization.
Okay.
I did like Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson because they went to college together. They showed a lot of spark.
Yeah.
Justin Fields isn't playing, so now they're back to the Jets.
Yeah.
So I think I don't like Breece Hall. He's got Braylon Allen just sniffing behind his heels. So I know he's a great talent. I've just never really liked him as a fantasy player. So I'm always going to stray away from him. And in our PPR league, being a half point, Brock Bowers can get you 8-10 receptions. That's a 4 or 5 point bonus. So he gets you 60 yards and a touchdown. You're talking 17 points. So, is Gentry or Breece Hall going to get you 17? Maybe. What's Brock Bowers' floor going to be? Maybe 10. So I kind of like the low floor and high ceiling versus, usually I always go running back, but I'm a little biased with the New York Jets.
Okay. Right now it's sitting there. We'll see if I change it. What are you thinking about now going into this week? Whether it's a fantasy trend you're seeing, something that's kind of on your mind to explain to people, what are you seeing?
The Gibbs and Montgomery situation is exactly what it was last year.
Okay.
So everyone that's a Gibbs owner, don't panic. Week 7, 8, the guy is just going to dominate and end up being not only a top 5, but possibly top 3 back in the league. So
okay.
Don't panic on Gibbs. Gibbs is going to be great. Guys like Laporta, even Jamal Williamson, he had a great week, but he had 108 yards, and I think one of them was for 68 yards. So the other 5 receptions were for 40 yards. So without that big touchdown catch, he's only 5 receptions for 40 yards. So it's 5 points.
Okay.
So there's guys just like Josh Allen, like Keenan Coleman. Dalton Kincaid, I think, kind of bypasses that because he's a tight end. And if he's getting 6+ targets a week, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm mad. He's got my bench 15 points. I don't know if that's going to help me much.
Yeah, maybe it'll help you sleep tonight. But.
I'm the only guy with 3 tight ends starting 2, and the one on the bench is the one that got 15 points. So that's in the
optimist
Bobby Mack league.
Blake Bowers and Juwan Johnson will each get plus 15. So
okay, you're on the clock on that one.
Yeah, you have not necessarily made a bad decision. You just have 3 really, really, really good tight ends.
Okay, we'll see what happens here. If Ashton Genty lights it up, beer on Brad. Here we go. This is from Brett of Hydro Air Lab with a question for you. He says, my for sure starters are Gibbs, Irving, and Mike Evans. So I know that, but I'm struggling with the 2 wide receiver spots and my flex spot. Here's my team. Mike Evans, Hollywood Brown, T-Mac from Carolina, Tedoroa McMillan, Stephon Diggs, and Cooper Kupp. So there's his receivers. Running backs, Gibbs and Bucky Irving, like he said.
Love them.
But he also has Travis Etienne, Nick Chubb, and Aaron Jones. So I'm going to answer his question, and then I wanted to see from you if you agree. At the flex, I'm putting Travis Etienne, who's been really solid, and I would go Mike Evans and T-Mac as my receivers. Where are you?
Yes, I'm 100% agreeing on that. But not only that, I'm going to go one deeper, though.
Okay.
Because you have Bucky Irvin and Mike Evans, I recommend you trying to trade Mike Evans, especially this week if he catches a touchdown, kind of split up that. I did trade for Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry, but I do think Baltimore's offense is just that good. It's like they're just going to score 30, 40 points a week if they want to. So there are some teams I think that's okay with. Mike Evans is a guy that'll get you 40, 60 yards and possibly a touchdown every 4th game, which will be great because he'll make his 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But now that we play 16 weeks, 1,000 yards isn't that much in a week. So he might be someone that I would try and pair up with like a Nick Chubb if he does good, or a Travis Etienne and go get like a Jackson Smith and the Jigba, or someone that's really embedded in the offense and going to get 10 plus targets a week. So I would start those guys.
Of trades. I mean, every time we talk, you're thinking of trades.
Yeah, I know.
Why is that? Is that the way to winning? Is it trades? They're not more important than the draft, but is it close?
No, it's just the ADHD. It just calms my mind because it gives us something to always think about. So it's just, hey, now I got something to do.
But I would have to assume you are the fantasy guru, and are trades a major part of your strategy, or is it just you
100%? Because for instance, I overspent because we have an auction league.
Right.
So I overspent. I paid $100 and almost $45 on 2 guys out of my 200.
Okay.
Derrick Henry and Bucky Irvin. And because of that, I was stuck, and I got George Pickens was the best receiver I could spend $10 on, because after I got what's it called? One more player, I was pretty much out of money. George Kittle. That's the one I got. I got George Kittle. I spent $35 on him. So I had $10 left. Was the max I could spend, and everything else was $1 after that.
Okay.
So I got George Pickens, and that was it. And everything else was, backups, hope they get good. Higgins from Houston, just like long shots.
That's good stuff.
But now I've traded my wide and also waiver claims. My wide receiver room is Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and Chris Godwin.
That's good. That's good.
So, I mean, that's one thing. Like, I messed up in the draft, so I had to come fix it.
Okay.
And I had to trade Bucky Irvin because I had to give up a piece to get that. But so hopefully if Trayvon or Henderson comes around, I forget his first name, but then I'm okay with the trade and everything looks good. So there are some things when you do mess up in the draft, or if you are forced to do auto draft and you just don't like your team, they pick guys you don't like.
Yeah.
And honestly, I got rid of George Pickens because I just hate rooting for the Cowboys. So that's another reason he's a great talent, but I just didn't want him on my team.
That's perfect. All right. Give me final thoughts. Any one player you want to highlight? Any matchup you want to highlight? Anything in our league you want to highlight? What's your last piece of advice to the Unplugged Army going into week 3 of the fantasy season?
Detroit will not have a big week. They're playing Baltimore. Baltimore's defense last week showed me great things. So do not expect 52 points out of Detroit. It is going to be a more respectable 17.
Oh, I expect 4 touchdowns from Jahmyr Gibbs. Why are you telling me this now?
He will get you 1. I do believe he'll get you 1. But I would think more for the 90 total yards and a touchdown is kind of where I'm thinking for him.
Okay, since you brought it up, I thought I was done, but should I bring Ashton Genty off of my Bobby Mack bench for Jahmyr Gibbs?
No.
Okay.
No.
You intimidated me with the Baltimore opinion.
There are some people that no matter what the defense is, he has the ability to break a 90-yard touchdown. You always leave those guys in.
Okay. Good stuff. Hey, I'll talk to you next week, and good luck to the no-name Henrys to try to bounce back in the Unplugged Army League and show some heart.
I'm actually trying to trade for Hunter Henry.
Oh.
So I'll have both Henrys on my team. It'll be a most powerful triangle. No one can mess with us.
You'll have to change the name to plural, no-name Henrys.
You might be right on that.
Yeah. All right, good to talk to you. Talk to you next week.
All right, see you, mate.
Here is Sue Rigler on starting 100 Mile Brewing Company.
The name 100 Mile Brewing Company, it's where you keep your beer freshest from production. So we have a 10-barrel brewing system, and I don't want the beer to travel any more than a radius of 100 miles outside of where we produce it here in Tempe, Arizona. And I'm also a runner. I've been running 45 years, so 100 miles has a play on that as well. The food, we have a full restaurant. It's elevated food for a brewery, and a local media has named us as the top 10 restaurants, places to eat in Tempe, Arizona. I've heard more than once from people that they say they dream about our burgers. So that's kind of I wouldn't dream about a burger, but okay. So if you were in the Unplugged Army, we need to be friends. There's thousands and thousands of you that I cannot wait to meet. So this is your spot. Doug's favorite beer. He likes a lot of them, but the favorite one is the A Mountain Amber Ale. So why don't you all come in? I invite you in. Ask for Sue, ask for Todd, and we'll take really good care of you.
All right, Unplugged Army. We're going to do 2 segments here. One today on a Beer Friday, thanks to 100 Mile Brewing Company. And then coming up next week, a little earlier in the week, a hardcore look at the Ryder Cup. And our international golf expert is also the greatest golf teacher in the history of the state of Arizona, and that is Brandon Gordon. You can get your lessons with him at Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass. Just go to whirlwindgolf.com, and then you can see all about booking lessons and things like that. Brandon, I was out there the other day, and I shot a 104, so it's clear that you and I have not been together in a while.
No, we need to get a tune-up and get you dialed back in.
Okay. It was very strange for me because I normally can drive and putt, and I can't do anything else. And for some reason, yesterday, Tuesday it was, I think it was, I can't even remember now. The 5-iron was working very well, which I've never experienced that before, so I was happy. But the driver was a major problem for the first 5 holes, and it took me a while to fix it.
Yeah, no, sounds like you got to come in. We got to get driver fixed, and then get the rest of those irons to behave. That.
You know what? You should just do a special package, the driver fix, and then just be able to teach people. Give me before we get rolling on Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Give me a 30-second hybrid lesson, like just one thing that you see from a lot of your students that struggle with either hybrids or fairway woods.
Yeah. So for me, what I see a lot on the lesson tee with hybrids and fairway woods is, especially with hybrids, students try to play them like driver. I want to hit up on it. I'm supposed to hit hybrid high, so I need to help it get up in the air. And I see a lot of leaning back right for the right-handed golfer to help the ball go up in the air, which the hybrid is designed to already make the ball go up higher in the air than, the equivalent iron. So if you have a 4 hybrid, your 4 hybrid is a designed club to go higher than your actual 4 iron. So you don't have to help it up. You really want to play those hybrids just like your 4 iron. The ball position stays the same. The setup stays the same. Swing stays the same. Let the club do what it's designed to do.
Thank you. I do not do that. You'll be shocked by that information. So I'm glad that you're here. Okay, what I want to do is there's going to be a lot of people that are going to work next week. They think they understand Ryder Cup, but they might not know it. And so let's kind of give a soft, barely scratch below the surface lesson on Ryder Cup. It's coming up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next weekend. First of all, what is it? What is Ryder Cup?
So Ryder Cup is basically there's American team and then a European team, which is comprised of Great Britain and Ireland. And they play against each other for 3 days.
Now I would say, but I know that, but like it used to be just the British, but now it's all of Europe, right? Because I mean, like John Rahm's in it from Spain and stuff like that, even though he's a Sun Devil.
It used to be essentially just Great Britain, right?
Yeah, okay.
Spain, Northern Ireland, like you would have John Rahm, like Rory McIlroy, like would not be in it.
Okay.
So now it's basically all of Europe against the U.S. The U.S., since the Ryder Cup started, has dominated, but in the last about 15 years, Europe has come on very strong, and they have some players like John Rahm, Ian Poulter, who used to be not playing much anymore, who are very dominant in these Ryder Cup formats.
Okay. Now, dominant in these Ryder Cup formats. What is the Ryder Cup format?
So you've got Ryder Cup is always played Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Friday and Saturday, teams play 36 holes. So you have a morning wave and an afternoon wave.
Okay.
So you're going to have teams of 2 in the morning and afternoon. It might change. The home team kind of gets to pick which format goes where. But one round on Friday.
I know, so help me out with this. I know that the Americans have already chosen that the foursomes are each morning and the 4 balls are in the afternoon.
Yep.
So what is that?
So foursomes is your team of 2 is playing alternate shot, essentially. You pick one player who tees off on all the odd holes, and then one player that tees off on the even holes. So if me and you were a team for Team USA, Doug, you tee off on the odd holes, right? I'll tee off on the even holes. So we get to hole 1. Doug hits driver. He loves driver. He bombs it down the middle. I would then hit the next shot.
Okay.
And then you would hit the shot. And then we keep alternating or switching until we're done with the hole. And then us 2 would play against the 2 on Europe's side that they picked to put against us.
Okay.
So that's foursomes.
Okay. And then 4 ball.
4 ball is me and you would each play our own golf ball just like normal. And you make a 5 and I make a 4. Our team score would be the lower score, so 4. Essentially, you're picking who did the best out of us 2. Okay. And then that would compete against the 2 Europeans that we'd be playing against.
Okay.
And all of these matches are match play. So match play doesn't matter if we beat the opposing team by 5 shots or 1 shot. We basically, each hole is its own separate match.
Okay. So that in review, this is kind of funny. Both foursome and 4 ball have foursomes.
4 players, yes.
The only one with 4 balls.
Yes, correct. That's the easy way to remember it.
Okay.
4 ball is you have 4 balls being played. 4 sums is there's just 4 of you.
Okay.
And then so that's Friday, Saturday, right? And you'll do one of those formats each day. So like you said, the Americans are doing the 4 sums in the morning, 4 balls in the afternoons. And then on Sunday, you have singles matches. So it would just be one American against one European, match play, 18 holes, done. Like that's it.
Okay.
And that will decide who wins.
So how do you win?
So there's 28 points available in this format. So the first team to get to 14.5 points wins. So the Sunday singles, right? This is where when you're a captain, it matters who you pair up and who you put out first or last, because if you have a really dominant, maybe Friday or Saturday, you might have it wrapped up in the first 5 or 6 matches on Sunday. By the time those finish, you might already have 14.5 points, which then mathematically the other team can't beat you. So you won already.
How do I get a half point?
So if you win any match, you get 1 full point.
Okay.
If you tie a match, you get half a point.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So there's no overtime or sudden death or playoff or anything like that. It's if you tie, you get half a point. Good job.
And then what happens if, I'll do the math. If there's 28 points possible, what happens if it's 14-14?
So if it's 14-14, it's a tie. It's only happened a couple times, but the team who won the Ryder Cup last retains the cup.
Oh, and Europe won it in Rome.
Europe won it in Rome in 2023. So if at Bethpage Black this year, it's tied 14-14, Europe would keep the Ryder Cup.
Okay. Now let's go back to Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
You said there's a 4. We now know that there's 4 ball in the morning, 4 some in the afternoon Friday.
4 some in the morning, 4 some in the morning, 4 ball in the afternoon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
You're right. I missaid that. So that means I've got, in a sense, got 2 rounds of 36 holes Friday and Saturday, and then an 18 hole round on Sunday. Can I have, if I'm Keegan Bradley, can I have Scotty Scheffler play all 5 rounds?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
You run the risk of, that's a lot of golf.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna wear him out. So typically you'll see players play maybe a total of about 4 matches if they're a workhorse, because they've got to take a little bit of time off. But yeah, you can, as a captain, you can put somebody in every match.
Okay. So then when we talked about the alternating shot, the 4 sums, is there strategy there that, we were joking that I'm going to tee off on the odd holes, but are you looking at Bethpage Black and as much as you can trying to have each guy decide, you know what, I probably, my game suits the odd holes better on this course? Is that logistically normal, or is Bethpage so difficult it doesn't matter?
No, it does, especially with how guys shape shots and what holes fit their eye. When you get to the professional golf level, right, certain guys love to hit draws, certain guys love to hit fades. And so if there's a hole that's a dogleg left or a dogleg right, certain holes are really going to fit their eye and they're going to feel very comfortable over. Or you might have a long par 3. And so if you have one player who is, a longer hitter or hits the ball higher than the other player, those are little things, especially even when you go into making a team, right? Who do I put with who? Who do I pair with who?
Okay.
Right. Do I have, one high energy player and then one low energy player? And does evening kind of them out make that better? Or do I want to put 2 high energy guys together?
Okay.
So this is all stuff that the captains have to kind of figure out and talk with their players, because that's the biggest thing is the team locker room is huge in this Ryder Cup format.
Tell me about Sunday now. This is kind of my last question, but you mentioned it's just, there's 12 guys, 12 dudes, 1v1, here we go. Well, how do you choose? Meaning, does Keegan Bradley just put tee times out for all 12 of his guys and then Europe gets to match up? Do we go one at a time? Is it I'm going to have Scotty Scheffler tee off at 10 o'clock. And then it's kind of like a snake draft in fantasy. Now they've got to choose 2 golfers. All right, we'll put this guy against Scotty, but we'll put this guy at 11 o'clock. How does it work to set up the pairings when you're talking about 2 different teams?
Yeah. So, I think you the thing your listeners will know most is snake draft, right? When you said that. Right, because as a captain, you want to pair up who you think is going to win. Because
somebody's got to go first. One side chooses first, right?
And I believe it's usually the away team that has to put a player out first.
Okay.
So Europe would have to put a player out first, and then America gets to say, okay, I want, if they're going to put out John Rahm, I want, Scotty Scheffler to play John Rahm, and then we're going to put out, say JJ Spawn next.
Okay.
And that's kind of the strategy behind it of, do you want to put your really good stud players out first? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to save them to the end? Because, well, what if it does come down to those last, 2 or 3 matches?
Yeah.
Do I want the Americans have a lot of rookies, right? Do I want a rookie to have all that pressure on them, or do I want, somebody who's been in multiple Ryder Cups to have that?
Yeah, is that interesting? Because, now, I'm glad you said that. So it's usually the road team goes first. Because I'm thinking now, if this was Europe's turn to host, I wonder if I'm Europe and they say, okay, we've chosen Scotty Scheffler, he's going to go at this time. Do I put my dog against Scotty Scheffler and just say, listen, we're not beating that guy anyway? So that guy's on such fire. I'll just throw my number 12 golfer against Scotty and say, let's beat everybody else instead of wasting Rory or Rahm and, have them go against Scotty when we might lose with our best golfer.
Well, and the cool thing about Ryder Cup that, I enjoy is, you'll get to see how guys are playing on Friday and Saturday. Right. Okay. You might not be playing that great in the month leading up to Ryder Cup, but hey, something about the golf course, or hey, when I was practicing Wednesday or Thursday, something clicked and I got it. Right. I might be the number 12 guy, but I might be the hottest guy out of the 24 players here.
That's awesome.
And so I might put him up against guy, and you'll see some pretty big upsets in Ryder Cups just because of that.
This is awesome. Good. So all I wanted this week is just give people the understanding. And here's what we learned. Foursomes are each morning, 4 balls in the afternoon, and that's as chosen by Keegan Bradley, the home team captain. Each time, foursomes and 4 ball, there's always 4 people golfing, but 4 ball, there are 4 balls, and therefore that's all you have to remember. So the opposite of 4 ball, foursome, is when we do alternating shots. So there's 2 balls for the foursome. And then Sunday is a totally different format, just regular match play, 1v1. Okay.
Yep.
We got it. Thank you, my friend. I'll see you out on Cattail. Any Whirlwind news you want to share with us?
We've got Devil's Claw just went down for overseed, so it's always an exciting time of year for us in the industry because it kind of marks, okay, we're getting ready for season, right? The weather starts to get a little cooler, golf courses get busier, right? More people need help with their swings, so we're excited about that. And that'll open back up October 3rd. Don't quote me on that. I believe it's October 3rd. And then October 6th, Cattail goes down until October 23rd.
All right, so if you want Cattail, get out now.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir.
It's time for versus Baylor. Oh, there's no yee-hawing. Come on, Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Oh, am I fired up. This should have been easy. I told you yesterday, and I only went 0-1 yesterday because I parlayed 2 games, but since it's a parlay, I went 0-1. Well, what makes me mad is the reason why I parlayed is because I was a little worried about Miami and the Marlins winning against Colorado. I took them on the money line. Miami won 9-7. I wish I would have taken the run line -1.5, and I wouldn't have been in that mess. But I took them on the run line and actually got it. No, let's say that again. I took them on the money line and actually got it, in which Miami did beat the Rockies. The game I thought was easy was Bills-Dolphins at -12.5. I did say never, ever, ever trust a double-digit spread in the NFL. It rarely happens. Well, it didn't happen, as former Cardinals kicker misses a field goal that then turns into a late first half touchdown. 10-point swing. What the Bills didn't get and what the Dolphins got to tie it up 14-14 instead of it being 17-7 at half. That stinks. And the Dolphins lost, but they only lost by 10, so we go 0-1 yesterday. Really mad about that. Okay, today, you're not going to believe this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 10 games. We got 10 games. And I'm sticking my neck out this far. We're going 8-2. I'm calling the shot. We're going 8-2. Tonight, Padres money line over the White Sox. Padres are fired up. White Sox are ready to go home. Tampa Bay +1.5 against the Red Sox. Boston had to fly all the way down from Fenway. Tampa Bay's just sitting there waiting on them. Plus, it's a good pitching matchup, and we get runs. We'll take Tampa Bay plus the 1.5. Baseball tomorrow. The Corbin factor is in effect. It's Miami at the Texas Rangers. And whenever Patrick Corbin is pitching, we're going to take the over. We'll go over the 8.5. So let's go there. That's tomorrow, however. Other games tomorrow. I love Utah covering against Texas Tech. Love it. But I'm going to bump it down just a hair, and I'm going to take Utah -2.5. The line right now is 3. I'm going to pay the extra juice and buy myself half a point. So we'll go Utah -2.5 against Texas Tech. ASU +2.5 against Baylor. I think ASU is going to win, but you want to give me points, I'll take it. Sun Devils +2.5. I got NFL now. I'm going to take the Falcons to cover the 4 points against Carolina. I'm going to take Washington to cover the 3.5 points against Vegas. In case you don't know, yes, I'm a Washington fan, but I'm never going to be a homer with our money, your money, or my money. I just think Vegas stinks. Geno Smith has got to figure it out, but I like Washington here because of I believe in Dan Quinn being able to confuse the Las Vegas receivers really well. So that's what I'm going to believe in. But boy, do I need a healthy Jaden Daniels. Sorry, going for blood money. I love the 49ers over the Cardinals. You don't go up against Kyle Shanahan with a banged-up secondary, and that's what the Cardinals are forced to do. I really believe this won't. It's not going to be a blowout, but I believe it's going to be comfortable. 49ers win by 6 or 7. I'm going to take the Chiefs minus the 6 against the Giants. Can you imagine how angry the Chiefs are at being 0-2? And the Giants aren't good enough to stop it. We'll take Chiefs at New York minus the 6. And then another one that I love, just absolutely love. New Orleans is banged up on the offensive line and in the secondary, and they're going up against Seattle. I did lower the juice. The juice is minus 7.5. I shouldn't say that. I lowered the spread. The juice is, I don't know, like minus 110 at 7.5, and it goes all the way up to minus 145 to get it under a touchdown. I'll pay that because I know I'm going to be right. Seattle minus 6.5. I don't know if I'm going to be right. Seattle minus 7.5. Very worried about a backdoor cover as Spencer Rattler tries to get the boys down the field. So I can easily see Seattle's got a 14-point lead and New Orleans scores with 2.5 minutes left. And suddenly now it's a 7-point lead. I want it to remain 6.5 as the spread. Those are my 10 games. 10 games. Padres on the money line, Rays with the runs. Miami and Texas over the 8.5. Utah, the Falcons, the Commanders, the 49ers, the Chiefs, and the Seahawks all cover the spread. And ASU with the points. Oh, yeah. Sound credits today. I'm tired. Sound credits today. We've got all the Cardinals sound I got from the Cardinals YouTube page, which is AZ Cardinals, or you can just go to their website, which is azcardinals.com. I got the Kenny Dillingham sound from Sun Devil Source, and I think that's all my sound. Cardinals and ASU today. I'm cheating to make sure because I don't want to stiff anybody from sound credits because I really think that's important because I am mooching off of people and I want you to, maybe give them a look-see, go to their website every now and then, check out their YouTube page because they're helping us as members of the Unplugged Army. That does it for today's version of Doug Franz Unplugged, presented by Whirlwind Golf Club at Wild Horse Pass, home of the Whirlwind Plus program where you pay the lowest price of any tee time that day. So if tee times are going for $200 in the morning but only $100 in the afternoon, you can set a tee time in the morning at the afternoon rate. That's the advantage of Whirlwind Plus 15% discount at Civlic, the restaurant, and at in the pro shop. That is an incredible deal. Bell's Nashville Kitchen, located on Main Street in Old Town Scottsdale, the original sponsor of Doug Franz Unplugged. Santan Ford, 202 in Val Vista. Go to santanford.com. Parker & Sons Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. Call 602-2-REPAIR. That's 602, the number 2. Then REPAIR for Parker & Sons. And Al, yes, it's 100 Mile Brews Beer Friday. I've already had 2 A Mountain Amber Ales during the show, and they were delicious. Wish I could get one with you.
Doug, thank you so much. My best to your listeners, and keep up the work on Doug Franz Unplugged.